Okay, so in our notes, we've been working on polynomials, and that's a lot of what we just did on our class kick. Today's is going to be also working on polynomials, but from a little different point of view. We're going to talk about free falling objects and talk about parabolas and using our graphing calculators to do that. So I'll do one example on the app calculator, another one on the handheld, but I'm going to make a new set of notes. Okay, I made a new note, not doing connecting to the polynomials because this is a slightly different topic. Okay, so we're going to talk about free falling objects. And we're going to apply some of our knowledge about parabolas for these free falling objects. So let's say we have, for example, a rocket is launched from a tower and its height follows the equation h of t is equal to negative 16 t squared plus 235t plus 133. Okay, so h is the height, so the output is the height, the input t is for time. So it's the height after a certain amount of time. This height follows and can be found by that function. So we're going to answer a couple questions. How long is the rocket in the air? And we probably could figure out what is its max height. All right, so we have this rocket is blasting off and we have a function, so we probably should graph that. So the first one I'm going to do on my Inspire calculator app on the iPad. So let me open that guy up. And I need to go to new and open a new graph. And you can try this with your handheld if you know how to input those. I'll do the second one in the handheld. And so I'm going to type in the equation that we just talked about. So negative 16 x squared. Now I'm not going to use, don't use t's. We're using x. That's our variable, but remember that that's time. So negative 16x squared plus 235x plus 133. Now, before I hit enter, I'm going to think about the things that we've talked about already in terms of polynomials. I am expecting, because it's a second degree, of both ends to be going in the same direction. Of course, I know a second degree is a parabola, and I know that the leading coefficient is negative, so this is going to be a parabola opening downward. Okay, and if the leading coefficient is negative, meaning going to the right, it has to be going downward. So that's what I'm expecting. So if I hit enter, I get something that does not look like what I expected. However, it may be that. Maybe I typed it in incorrectly, but I could see right here, I don't think I did. So what I want to do is expand my window to try and look at more of the graph to see if it's taking shape of what I think. So I can see that I have a line that appears to be straight, but I'm expecting that to go up and come back down. So I'm going to expand my Y maximum, and that's going to make the top of the graph go up so I can look at that. And the way I do that is under the toolbar in the upper left corner, I hit Tool and Window. And on the handheld, I can't zoom out. I'm sorry, on the app, I can't zoom out. You can on the handheld, but I'm just going to change the window setting because I really only care about moving the Y up. So I'm going to go to Window Settings, and my Y maximum, I need to make bigger, but I'm not sure how big. So I usually think, like a factor of 10, it's at 6 2/3. I'm going to make it 100. Okay, so I'm just taking a little bit of a guess, making it 100, and I'll hit OK. All right, and now at least it appears it's not straight up and down. It appears as though it is leaning to the right. So I might be onto something. I'm going to go back and I'm going to change that Y max to something even larger now. So I'll hit the tool again and go to my Windows settings. And to multiply by a factor of 10, I'm going to go to the Y max. I'm just going to add a 0. All right, now that looks good. Now I can see the top of the parabola, but I can't see the right side of it. So I need to change my X max also, which is going to extend the graph to the right. So being able to manipulate the window is going to be part of our assessment. So being able to do these skills is going to be part of what you're going to be required to do. So I'll go back to the toolbar, go to my window settings, and now I want to change my X max to a larger number. So I always increase by a factor of 10. It, of course, gets much bigger very quickly, but there it is. I can see my parabola. Now remember, this is the height of the rocket over a certain amount of time. So I want to know how long the rocket is in the air. Well, that means what is the x-intercept? When does it get down to the bottom? So I'm going to go to my toolbar. I have to back up to Tools, and I want to analyze graph. And I am going to try and find the 0. So it gives me this line, and I'm trying to find that x-intercept down there at the bottom. So if I go to the left of the x-intercept and let go, and drag to the right of the x-intercept, I have 15.2. So it was in the air 15.2 seconds, or hours. I guess we didn't really say how long, what kind of time we were talking about. We did ask for a max height, so I need to find the maximum of this. So I'll go to my tool again, and I'm analyzing graph, and I want to find the max. So I'm trying to find the top of this mountain. So I'll go to the left of it, let go, and move to the right of it, and it gives me the max. Now, here is something that I had some of you ask me in the past about, hey, this only gives me 3 numbers or 4 numbers or whatever, and I need more. The Delta Math is asking me for more. Here's how you change that. The toolbar in the upper left corner has, to the right of that, there is what is supposed to be a picture of a graph with a wheel on it. So that is right there. And if you click that, you can change your display digits up top. Right now, mine is set to floating 3. If I change that to, let's say, floating 6 and hit OK, notice it now gave me many more decimal places, 6 of them after the decimal. All right, so I have a height of 995.89, and I had a time of 15.23. So going back, how long was the rocket in the air? 15.23. And what was the max height? And I already forgot. It was 995.89. All right, let's do another one. So another free falling object. And we want to use our calculator to be able to find specific points of that. All right, so let's say a company makes widgets. Its profit function is this. P of W, meaning the profit per widgets produced. P of W is negative 9x squared, I'm sorry, W squared, negative 9W squared plus 700W minus 6,005. Now, I'm not going to give any leading questions. I just want to graph this and then talk about what different points on the graph mean for this particular function. Okay, again, this is its profit function, and it's showing how much profit you make dependent upon how many widgets you produce. If you produce 100 widgets, you make this much, or lose perhaps. Sometimes your cost is more than you're making, or if you produce 50 widgets, you would have this much profit. So let's take a look at that graph. So I'm going to have to change to my other screen. So this is the handheld now. So on the handheld, and you guys can do this on the app as well as we're doing it. So I want to go to a graph. So I click this button here towards the upper left. That's going to pull up a graph. And so my function is negative 9 x squared. The x is down here. So negative 9x squared plus 700x minus 6,005. Before I hit enter, I want to think about what I'm expecting. I am expecting an upside down parabola. So when I hit enter and I don't get an upside down parabola, I know I'm going to have to mess with my window. Now I do have something over here that's interesting. So that's one side of the parabola. So let me expand up to see if I can see any more of this parabola. So on a handheld, I'll go to menu, which is right here. And I'll go to window. And I'm going to change my window settings. I'm going to change my Y max again to 100. And I'll hit enter. And well, that didn't help much because it looks as though perhaps the graph is further to the right. So now I need to change my X max. So you really need to be able to play with the window to try and find the important part of the graph. So I'll go back to menu, hit window again, and window settings. And I'm going to increase my X by a factor of 10. So my X max is 100 now and my Y max is 100. And oh, that looks better. I can see the left and the right side, but I can't see the top. So I need to change my X max one more. I'm sorry, my Y max one more time. So I'll go back to menu, go to window, and you can see a Y max, I'm gonna add a 0. So being able to set the window correctly is a skill. So 1,000 wasn't enough. I'm gonna go back and do that again and just keep multiplying by a factor of 10. So now I'm at 10,000. Oh, thank God. Finally, we have a nice looking picture of our parabola. So let's talk about some different parts of the parabola. Of course, everybody wants a maximum profit. So the max of this would be an interesting point. So I'll go to menu, and now I want to analyze graph to find the maximum. And I have to move this to the left of the maximum and hit enter, and then move it to the right of the maximum. And I get this. All right, so this thing on the right, that's scientific notation. That's 7.61 times 10 to the third. That means I'm going to move the decimal over 1, 2, 3 spots, meaning this is actually 7,600. So 7,600 is my maximum profit. The 38.9, that's how many widgets I have to produce. So I need to produce about 39 widgets to make $7,610. Another legit question might be, all right, well, what if I want to make $5,000? All right, well, if I know that this is 7,600, 5,000's got to be around here somewhere. How many widgets would I have to produce to make $5,000? So I'm going to make a line here at 5,000. I'm going to go hit the tab button, and I'm going to type in 5,000 and hit enter. And so I want to know when these two things intersect. So I could go to menu and analyze graph and find their intersection. Now you have to do the intersection one at a time. So there's the first intersection. And I'm going to do that again to find the second intersection. Well, what those numbers mean, remember 5e to the third means 5 with 3 zeros, or $5,000. I need to produce 22 widgets to make $5,000. Or if I produced 56 widgets, I would also make $5,000. Okay. And to make the most money, to make $7,610, I'd have to produce 39 widgets. All right, any questions before I get off of this screen? Okay, so you're going to have to be able to input these functions, be able to mess with the window, find the points that you're looking for by finding zeros or mins or maxes or intersections, and interpreting what those intersections are.